Good morning, everybody. Gonna give all of our friends a couple of seconds to jump on here, and then we will get started. Welcome, welcome. It still looks like we have a few people jumping on here, so we'll give our friends a few more seconds, and then we will officially get started here. All right, here we go. So good morning again, everybody. My name is Caleb Mascalier, and I work for California State Parks, like it says right here on my patch. And I am up here at Columbia State Historic Park. We are one of the 279 parks in the state of California, and we are an old gold mining town. And we're going to explore a little bit about the California Gold Rush today with something that I like to call the Go West Challenge. That's where y'all get to pretend to be gold miners who are going to set out for California. And our challenge is that long journey to California. You see, when the gold rush started in 1848, we had people come from all over the world. 300,000 people immigrated to the state of California, and they all had the same idea. They were hoping that they could find gold, they could strike it rich quick, and take their newfound wealth home. So we're going to pretend to be gold miners today. And before we get going, we're going to do a couple of things. The very first step is I just want to give everybody some time to get something to write with and something to write on. So I'll give you all about 20 or so seconds if you want to grab a piece of paper and a pencil or a dry erase board and a marker. So I'll let y'all do that. Go ahead and get something to write with and something to write on. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So now that we all hopefully have something to write with and something to write on, we're going to jump to our next couple of steps. The next thing I want to show y'all is I'm going to share my screen. And when I share my screen throughout the program, because I'm on an iPhone, I'm going to turn sideways because iPhone. So I'm going to show y'all on a map where I'm at so you can kind of get an idea of where Columbia is in the state of California. So here I am. I am that little blue dot in the little tiny town of Columbia, California. We're still an actual town. We have about 2,000 people that live around us today. And I'm going to zoom out now. And here we go, zooming out and zooming out. The nearest city to Columbia is the city of Sonora, which is about 10 minutes or so south of us. It's a little tiny city as well. Then I'm going to keep zooming out. The nearest big city to us would actually be the city of Modesto. It's about an hour away. And I'm going to keep zooming out. Oh, now we can see San Francisco, which is about 3 hours away from us. And then if I zoom out some more, you can now see the city of Sacramento, which is about 2 hours north of Columbia. And I'm going to keep going out. And now we can see Fresno and Bakersfield down there. And there's Los Angeles and San Diego. I'm about 6.5, 7 hours north of Los Angeles and about 8 hours north of San Diego. And I'm going to keep zooming out so you can see where we are in the United States. and Colombia was one of the many towns that people rushed to, hoping that they could strike it rich. And speaking of town, I actually want to show y'all where I'm at real quick, kind of to give you a sense of space here in Colombia of where I'm standing in the park right now. So I'm standing on one end of town and we'll slowly make our way over to the other end. And I'm going to try to save some time at the end of our webinar here to answer a few questions. So I have the Q&A feature available. If you can think of a Gold Rush question during the program, you can put it in, and then I will try to answer as many as I can at the end of the program. And I just wanted to give you a sense of place here in our park. And it's probably about 45 degrees here today. It's a nice, cool morning. And I'm sure y'all are ready now to get started with our challenge. So before we journey to California, we have a couple more steps we have to do. That first one is we have to make characters. We're going to be making gold miners. And the first step is to pick a name for your gold miner. But I don't want you to pick just any name because we're going to pretend that the year is 1851. So I want you to pick a name that you think someone would have had in 1851. And it can be just a first name if you want, or a first and a last name. And to give you a few ideas, I'll tell you the names of two people that used to live here in Colombia. One of them, her name was Maria Dagner, and the other, his name was Dr. Thaddeus Hildreth. And I'm going to enable our transcript right here too. There we go. Oh, and also, if you can't think of a name, you can go ahead and use your own name for your gold miner. But I'm going to give you 20 seconds to think of your gold miner name, and then I want you to write it down. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I'm sure we all have some really awesome gold miner names picked out. But we're going to jump to our next step. And that is, since we're making characters, you have to draw a quick little picture of your gold miner. And for this one, I'm going to give you a whole minute, 60 whole seconds to draw a quick picture. But wait before you start drawing. I want you to think about what your gold miner is going to be wearing. Are they going to be wearing a hat like I am? Helps keep the sun off you in the summertime. Or maybe because it's chilly, you want to be wearing a jacket like I'm doing today to keep your gold miner warm. Maybe your gold miner's holding a pickaxe or even a gold pan. But I'm going to give you 60 seconds to draw a quick picture of your gold miner. And that 60 seconds starts now. And we're halfway there, friends. 30 more seconds. Almost done. 15 more seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So I'm sure we got some awesome little pictures here. If you want, real quick, you can show your neighbor. I'll give you 10 seconds if you want to show your neighbor the picture you drew. All right, friends, it's time to finish the last step. And that is everybody's going to start this challenge with 10 points. So somewhere on your paper or your dry erase board, you can write the number 10, or you can do 10 little hash marks. And that's because I'm going to give you all 5 different challenges. And depending on the choices you make, why you could gain more points or you could even lose points. And by the time we're done with this challenge, you'll have an idea of just how tough it was, how challenging it actually was to immigrate here to California during the gold rush. So here we go. Are we ready for this challenge? Is your gold miner going to safely make it to California? Or will they be lost along the way? Here we go. So the year is 1851. That is 3 years into the California gold rush. And we're going to start in New York City. So whether you're gold miners from the United States, or maybe you immigrated here from another country, you ended up in New York City. And that's where you heard about the California gold rush. But not just about the California gold rush. You heard about the town of Columbia, where there's supposedly so much gold here that, well, you could just walk around and scoop it up off the ground and get super rich. So you decide that you're going to test your luck and journey to Columbia, California to see if you can strike it rich. But we have to make it to California. That's what our challenge is. And we decided that it's a whole lot safer for all of us to travel together. There's more safety in numbers. And once we get here, we could probably form a big mining company to increase our odds of finding gold. So we're going to look at the 2 main routes here real quick. And then I'm going to let you know which one we're going to take. But of the 2 main routes that they had during the gold rush, the first one was the overland trail. That's why we're looking at this wagon. Now, the overland route, you have to travel across the entire United States, over mountains, through the Great Plains, over some more mountains, then through a desert. And then guess what? More mountains. And that 2,000-mile long journey would take you 3 to 6 months, which is why our miners would want a wagon like this. Theirs would be covered, obviously, to protect it from the weather. But you would need to carry enough food and water to last you 3 to 6 months. And this route was a little bit more expensive than the other one that we're going to look at here in just a second. That's because you need to buy this wagon. Then you need to buy the supplies. Then you need to buy the animals to hook it up to here to take your wagon all the way across the United States. And this wagon right here, well, it's got a fancy seat, but most of our gold miners' wagons, they wouldn't have those seats because that would have taken up precious space for more food and water. Like our miners that went the overland route, they walked to California. They walked that 2,000 miles. And I'm going to share my screen now to show you all a picture of the next route. So give me just a second. Oh, hang on, making sure my phone's not glitching out and it's sharing the screen correctly. Here we go. So these are the 2 routes. It's the overland route and the oversea route. And I'm going to zoom in here to show you what those wagons look like. So you can see those covered wagons and then crossing the entire United States. But that second route, why, you would get on one of these old ships and sail to California. Now, to show you what the overland route looks like, here's a nice little picture of that 2,000-mile long journey. And here is the oversea route. From Europe, it's 16,000 miles. For us, it's closer to 10,000, and will probably take about 4 to 8 months. So a little longer, but it's a whole lot cheaper because we only need to buy the ticket on one ship. And this route, the overland route, it's filled with many dangers when you cross the entire United States. And the oversea route, the only thing we really have to worry about is the tip of South America, sailing around Cape Horn itself. because South America is very close to Antarctica, and that cold air sometimes makes for crazy winds and waves that can damage the ships. So those were the two main routes. And this right here, what we're doing today is the Oversea Challenge. So we've decided that, well, we don't really feel like walking to California, and it's a lot cheaper to go the Oversea route, which means we'll save a lot of money. When we get to California, we can probably buy a whole lot of gold mining supplies. So we're all going to journey to California, going oversea. And we're going to be leaving during the month of March. So it's March 1851. And then we start boarding a ship. I'm going to show you a picture of the little clipper ship that we're going to be boarding. So here is our ship. Captain tells you she's a really fast and really large ship, so she'll be able to hold everybody. And he'll even feed you along the way. But since he's taking on so many people, he wants to make sure that you don't take too much with you. So when you board this ship, you're only going to be able to take your backpack with you and what you can fit in a backpack. And this is your first challenge, because once you get on that ship and you start boarding, you think to yourself, I might be able to sneak off and grab a few more supplies and hide them on this big ship. So this is our first challenge. Are you going to listen to the captain and only take your small backpack? Or are you going to try to sneak off the ship and try to gather some more supplies and hide them somewhere in the cargo hold? So I'm going to give you all about 15 seconds to think about that. Are you listening to the captain, or are you going to try to sneak on more supplies? And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So what I'd like y'all to do now, since I'm sure we all made our choices, I want you to turn to your neighbor and you can quietly tell them what you picked, and then quickly tell them and quietly why you made that choice. So I'll give you all about 20 seconds to do that. Tell your neighbor what you picked and why you picked it. Almost done. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. I'm sure we're ready for the results of challenge number 1. So for this challenge, if you decided to listen to the captain and you only brought on the one backpack he told you could, I have good news for you. You decided to listen to the captain, which means he's happy with you and he isn't upset that you tried to sneak on extra cargo, which means you gain 2 points. So if you listen to the captain, I want you to add 2 points to your score, and you should have a total of 12 points now. But that means if you didn't listen to the captain and you tried to sneak on more supplies, I have some bad news for you. You see, the captain found out and he was a little upset, and what he ended up doing was throwing all of your extra stuff overboard, and you lose 2 points. So if you tried to sneak on extra supplies, you have to subtract 2 points from your score, and you should have a total of 8 points now. And now we journey forward. And we're sailing now. And so we start out in March, it's a little cool, and then it seems to be warming up as we near the country of Panama. The captain is going to stop in Panama to pick up some more cargo. And I'm going to show y'all a picture of this. And while we're stopped here in Panama, we have our next challenge. So we dock in the city of Panama. Here's a picture right here. And it is the month, it's late April now when we dock here. And the captain offers for all of you who are passengers that if you would like some extra work, then you can help his crew load up the supplies he's picking up, and that he might even pay you. Or if you want, why, you can get off and kind of adventure around this city and relax. So those are your two choices. Are you going to help the crew load up all of those supplies? It's probably going to be a hard day's work. Or are you going to spend the day just kind of walking around or maybe relaxing? And I'm going to give you all about 20 seconds to think about that and write down your choice. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, now, just like the last time, I want you to quietly turn to your neighbor and I want you to tell them what you picked and why you made that choice. And I'll give you another 20 seconds or so to tell your neighbor. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So I'm sure we're ready for the results of challenge number 2. So if you decided to do nothing, so you went exploring or maybe relaxing, I have okay news for you. That's not good news or bad news. So you just get out and you stretch your legs and it feels nice to not be on the ship, but you don't do anything really constructive. Maybe you sit on the beach all day or walk around town. But nothing really bad happens to you. So for this choice, you're going to get 0 points. So you don't have to add or subtract if you decided to rest and relax. Now, if you decided to help the captain, I have good news for you. Sure, it was a hard day work, but you helped the captain and the crew load all of this cargo onto the ship. And the captain's extremely grateful. He's so grateful, in fact, that he pays you a couple silver coins for your hard day's work. So you're a little richer and you gain 2 points. So if you helped the captain and the crew load up the cargo, you can add 2 points to your score. And now everybody gets loaded back up on the ship and we set sail again. And it's now the month of May and we are rounding the Horn. We're rounding the tip of South America, going around Cape Horn now. And this is where challenge number 3 is. I'm going to show you all a picture here so you can see what Cape Horn looks like. And here it is. So we start rounding the Horn. And you notice that it's awfully chilly, which is weird because it's the month of May. And then you realize you're in the southern hemisphere. It's actually starting to be winter down there. And then you feel a cold wind pick up and the ship starts rocking back and forth. And well, it makes you seasick. And you think, if I go up on top of the deck and get some fresh air, I'll probably feel better. But as you start trying to walk up there, one of the crew tells you that they have a big wave that's incoming and you should probably stay below deck or you might get knocked off board. So this is our next challenge. Are you going to listen to the crew and stay in the cargo hold and Be seasick? Or are you going to risk going up on the deck to get that fresh air so you don't feel sick anymore? And I'm going to give you all 20 seconds. Are you going to stay below deck? Or are you going to go up and try to get some fresh air? And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, just like the last 2 times, friends, I want you to quietly turn to your neighbor and I want you to tell them what you picked and why you picked it. I'll give you a few seconds to explain to them. All right, friends, we're almost done. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, are you ready for the results of challenge number 3? So here we go. If you decided to go above deck because you were feeling seasick when this wave was coming, I have some bad news for you. So you climb up on the deck and, well, sure does, that fresh air sure does feel better. But this wave hits the ship and it rocks it, and it rocks it so hard that you fall overboard into the icy waters. And the crew has to fish you out of the water, and you're freezing cold now, and you lose 2 points. So if you decided to go above deck, I want you to subtract 2 points from your score. Now, if you decided to stay below deck, I have good news for you. You stayed below deck like the crewman told you, and you didn't fall overboard. And then you notice as you keep sailing that the rocking stops, and you start feeling better, and you're not as seasick anymore. And you gain 2 points. So if you stayed below deck, you can add 2 points to your score. And you also managed to stay dry. And now it's time for challenge number 4. And for this challenge, why, we safely sailed all the rest of the way to the city of San Francisco. We're here now in California, in the city of San Francisco, the Golden Gate. And I'm going to show you an old picture here of San Francisco. So here is an old picture of the city of San Francisco. You can see all those ships there. All of these other people have showed up to California. And once you get there and you step off the ship, you notice you're feeling a little sick. And that's because you've been eating something called hardtack. It's a little dried piece of bread made of flour, salt, and water. And it's not very nutritious. And one of the crewmen tells you that you seem like you might be showing the beginning signs of scurvy, which is something sailors are familiar with. He tells you that you should go find someone that's selling lemons or limes, and he points you towards a market in San Francisco. So you journey there, and you see a couple of people selling some things that might help you. Why, you walk up to one store, and you find out it's a candy store. And they tell you that, why, they do have something with lemon. It's lemon flavored candies. And he guarantees they're super delicious and they're cheap. He says he'll give you a handful of these lemon candies for 10 cents. So that's a pretty good price for something lemon flavored there. And then you notice somebody with a little fruit stand next to him that has real lemons. And he offers to sell you these lemons for $5 for one lemon, which is really expensive. My $5 then is somewhere around $175 today. And he tells you, well, I have to sell you these lemons really expensive because, well, they're kind of hard to get. I don't have very many of them. Everybody seems to want them. So because of supply and demand, I have to sell you these lemons for a lot of money. So this is your next challenge, friends. Are you going to buy the lemon for $5 whole? Or are you going to get the lemon flavored candy for 10 cents? And I'm going to give you all 20 seconds to think about your decision and write it down. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Just like the other 3 times, I want you to quietly turn to your neighbor and tell them what you picked and why you picked it. And I'll give you a few more seconds to do that too. Almost done, friends. 10 more seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm sure we're ready for the results of challenge of number 4. So, if you decided to buy the real lemon, I have good news for you. Sure, it was expensive, but you bought the real lemon, and the shopkeeper says, well, here, I'll cut it in half for you, and you can just suck on it and get all that vitamin C you need. So you just suck the lemon down, and whew, that was sour, but you start feeling better in a couple hours. You're starting to feel like yourself again, and you beat your scurvy and you gain 2 points. So if you bought the lemon, I want you to add 2 points to your score. Now, if you bought the lemon flavored candy, I have bad news for you. You see, it was just lemon flavored. It has no actual lemon in it, which means no vitamin C. I'm sure it tastes good and it was cheap, but you eat the candy and, well, you just keep getting sicker and sicker, and you now have scurvy. And since you have scurvy, you have to subtract 4 points from your score. If you have scurvy now, you have to subtract 4 points from your score. Whew. It's now time for the 5th and final challenge. And now that we're all ready in San Francisco, when we find out that we still have the journey to Colombia. And you find out by using your feet that it's going to take you about 3 weeks. But since we did the Oversea route, we saved some money. So we think we can buy some mining supplies when we get here to Colombia. But we have enough money that we can either take a riverboat or we can take a stagecoach to Colombia. And I'm going to show you some pictures here. So here we go. Here's a picture of the stagecoach. When you talk to the stagecoach company, they say, you don't need to go to the riverboat. We'll get you there really fast. It'll just take a couple of days to get there. And we're not going to stop in the city of Stockton like that riverboat probably will. Like, you should hop on here and join us. And well, I'll only charge you about $20 to take you from San Francisco to Colombia. You should get there in about 4 days. So as you think about that, you also talk to the riverboat captain. These are what these old riverboats look like. And he said, well, you should join me on my riverboat here. It's only going to be $10, and I'll take you from the city of San Francisco to Stockton. And from there, why, it's just a week or so walk up to the city of Columbia. So those are your 2 choices. Are you going to take the riverboat to Columbia, or to Stockton, I should say, and then walk up to Columbia? Or are you going to take the stagecoach from San Francisco directly to Columbia? And that stagecoach will cost you $20, and the riverboat will cost you $10. So I'm going to give you all a few seconds to think about your choice and write it down. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, friends, go ahead and turn to your neighbor and tell them what you picked and why you picked it. And I'll give you 20 more seconds to think about that, or to tell them, I should say. All right, 10 more seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, here's the results of our 5th and final challenge. So, if you decided to take the stagecoach, I have good news for you. Sure was a little more expensive than that riverboat, but it takes you straight to Colombia in about 4 days, and you arrive ready to go gold mining, and you gain 2 points. So if you pick that stagecoach, I want you to add 2 points to your score. Now, if you picked the riverboat, I have okay news for you. It's not good news or bad news. It's a little cheaper, and it quickly takes you to the city of Stockton. And once you get there, you're able to gather a few more supplies, and you walk up to the city of Columbia. But it takes you a little longer than your stagecoach friends. So if you picked the riverboat, I want you to add 1 point to your score. If you picked the riverboat, add 1 point to your score. Now I'm going to let everybody add up their final scores here, and I'm going to tell you what these mean. All right, here we go. We're going to start with the lowest scores that you could get. And that's if you scored between 0 and 4 points. You scored between 0 and 4 points. Unfortunately, your miner, they didn't make it to California. They succumbed to the many dangers of this harsh route. Like many miners before them, their journey has ended. Now, if you scored between 5 and 10 points, between 5 and 10 points, you made it to California, but just barely. And without a whole lot of money left, you're going to have to start small. You're going to be able to afford a small little gold pan and a tiny tent. But at least you made it to California, and you're ready to reclaim your fortune in gold. Now, if you scored between 11 and 16 points, between 11 and 16 points, you made it to California in good condition and with enough money left over that you're able to purchase some nice mining supplies, and you're ready to reclaim your fortune in gold. Now it's time for the highest scores that you could get. And that's if you scored between 17 and 20 points. If you scored between 17 and 20 points, well, you managed to come to California in such good condition that you had extra money. Why, I think you may be a sailor yourself. And with this extra money, why, you have enough that you think you might be able to start your own gold mining company. And you're definitely ready to reclaim your fortune in gold. So I hope y'all had fun with our little Go West challenge, Oversea edition. And I am going to open up the QA, or it should have been here. I do not see the QA feature now. Let me see if I can turn it on. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here.